Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and today I'm doing my February wrap-up part 1. So I have 6 books to talk about today, all written by Black authors. Because if you didn't know, February is Black History Month. The reading that I have done has helped me see things in a different way, obviously, than I'm used to because I'm obviously not Black. And a lot of these characters I don't have that much in common with. So reading from all these different points of view is great in my opinion and helps to fill in a lot of just areas that I don't have firsthand experience in. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about 6 books that I read in the first half of February, and all of them are 3.5 stars or more. So I have had a fab first half of February. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Okay, so the very first book that I read in February is A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole. This is a romance novel. So we are following Portia, who is a New York City kind of socialite. She's very bubbly and she's kind of trying to figure out what she wants to do, as well as coming to terms with her ADHD diagnosis, and she decides to take an internship at this traditional weapons armory in Scotland, and that's how she meets Tavish Mackenzie, who's kind of this gruff kind of guy who doesn't believe in like technology, social media, so she jumps in to learn about sword making and bring him up to speed into like the modern era. And then, as you can guess from the title, she discovers that he is heir to a dukedom. And this is set in modern times, and it was so freaking good. I gave this 4 stars. I really loved it, and I want to continue on in the series. My library doesn't have the next, so I requested it, and hopefully they will order it sometime this year. So fingers crossed on that. So the next thing I read after that is Friday Black by Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. This is a short story collection about kind of a semi-futuristic America where different aspects of Black culture are created like with a minor sci-fi twist to them. And honestly, I think that so many of these stories were so hard-hitting. Overall, I gave this 4 stars. I honestly think that this needs to be picked up by Black Mirror immediately. There are so many chapters in here that are just like mind-blowing. Like the first story is the Finkelstein. 5 children are beheaded by this man who completely lies and says that they were going to attack him and his children. The rage that comes through and like the inequality is like present now in America. And I think that if you read this and thought that it's too far from reality, then I don't know. I don't think it's that far from reality. Yeah, and then there's another one where minority people are actors in a room, and then people, usually white people, can pay to kill them. And it's supposed to be like fun, like it's a game, but I mean, the parallels here are just very strong. So yeah, I think that this was an amazing collection of short stories, and I think that it would be an amazing thing to read with like a book club because there is so much that you could talk about, and I would love to see it as a mini series like on Netflix or Black Mirror. Like Black Mirror wouldn't even have to change like barely anything because these are perfect already. So yeah, I really liked this and gave it 4 stars. So then after that, I continued on with really heavy-hitting books, and I read The Mothers by Bennett. This follows Nadia and Luke, and they are a Black couple in high school when he is the pastor's son, and she's kind of thought of, I guess, as not good enough for his very upright church-going family. And their relationship had been a secret, so no one knows that she's pregnant, and she decides to get an abortion, and he gives her the money. And that single decision then is a ripple that carries throughout their entire life. So it follows them from that moment in their high school years onwards until adulthood, and how that single decision can wreck the lives of not only them, but other people around them. Another aspect that I both loved and found annoying as a person was that the women, the elder women in the church group are kind of seen as these voices that act very much as the chorus in like a Greek tragedy, and they are gossiping essentially. So it reads very much like a tragedy where they're commenting throughout as time goes on. So I think it's stylistically beautiful. As a person, it's so annoying when groups of old people like gossip about you. Yeah, that's like one of the things that I hate. So I gave this book 3.5 stars overall because this is so readable and written so beautifully. I got sucked in immediately. The thing that I didn't like was that I think the way that it ends left me wanting something more. And I'm not sure what I wanted, but I wanted just something else. And I didn't agree with a few of the actions that the characters took, but I kept reading anyway because, like I said, Brit Bennett's writing is absolutely stunning, and I really do highly recommend this novel if it has something that you can stomach. It also has triggers for like sexual abuse, child abuse, alcoholism. It has a lot of trigger warnings for this book, and I think that a lot of the darker elements are explored in a way that Brit Bennett just does such character work so well. So when dark things happen to the characters, she writes it into their story and the repercussions carry with them. It's not like it happened and it's a plot device and then once Brit Bennett has said it and it has happened, then we can move on. No, like it haunts the characters throughout the whole novel. So I think that this is a really good book and I really do recommend it. I was feeling, not in a reading slump, but in like an emotional slump where I was feeling a little wrung out. So I decided to read a romance from an author that I don't think I've ever read before, and I read A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. So this is set in a town called Ravenswood, where basically, again, gossip has ruined Ruth's life. Ruth is a fat black woman with autism, and she has a webtoon business where she illustrates and works from home, and she's decided that the way she's going to deal with something that happened and the gossip swirling around her is that she's just not going to deal with it. So she basically stays in until the day when she meets Evan, who is her new neighbor, and he is an ex-military man who works as a blacksmith, and he takes a shine to her. And this was really cute. It dealt with a lot of heavy topics. I really liked the way that Ruth was fleshed out. My only criticism here is that I wish that Evan had been more fleshed out. However, I really love the series and I will be continuing on with it as soon as possible. I'm trying not to repeat author reads throughout the month because I want to sample as many authors' writing styles as possible, but I guarantee you that throughout this year, I will be reading Alyssa Cole and Talia Hibbert because I am a fan. So after a quick dip into romance, I had my reading back up again, and so I decided to read My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. So for me personally, this was a 3.5 star read where I was drawn in immediately. The chapters are very short, so it feels like it's flying by. I could not put it down, and it's because you just know that like some impending doom is gonna happen. So we're following a main character who works as a nurse, and her sister is kind of a fashion designer, but her sister also happens to be a serial killer. And the nurse is helping her sister clean up after these murders when the sister starts to like the man that the nurse has liked all along, a doctor at her hospital. And she has to decide between keeping the man safe and helping her sister not go to jail. It sounds like it'd be very exciting and like full throttle, but actually it's more a character study of the main character and a family dynamics more than serial killing. I gave it points because I couldn't put it down, but I take away points because I thought that it could have been a lot better, but it's a lot less gruesome or horrifying than I thought. It's more of a character study than anything. So I think it's really interesting that this was originally published in Nigeria under the title Thicker Than Water. I almost wish that they had kept it because that kind of sets it up as more of a family study, whereas this one sets it up more as like a serial killer mystery thriller. So I don't think that this is a thriller, but I think if you go into it as a family drama with serial killer sprinkles on top, then that would be a better recommendation. Okay, and the last book that I read in the first half of February is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I just finished it this morning. And before we get into it, I just want to talk a bit about why I didn't read it in 3 years. I think that it was everywhere, it was super hyped, and it's also YA. And I think that, unfortunately, I fell into the category of one of those people who easily dismisses YA and its ability to connect with the reader and to be as good of a champion of serious topics as adult fiction or adult novels. And in this case, I was wrong, and I apologize to no one cares what I read, but I apologize to just the general idea of The Hate U Give, because this book was absolutely phenomenal. I think that it's a 4.5-star read for me as of this morning. I sit on it and maybe it will be a 5 throughout the year, but as of right now, I think that it's on my best books of 2020, and I'm looking like a fool, 3 years late. This is a really good reminder to myself to keep reading books that are hyped and don't just dismiss them, especially if they're YA. But if you haven't heard of The Hate U Give, I don't know where you've been, but this book is hugely successful. It has won 3 Goodreads awards, and it's been made into a movie, and we're following Star, who is a 16-year-old black girl when her friend Khalil is driving her home from a party, and they are pulled over by a white police officer, and then Khalil is shot in front of her, and the gun is trained on her until police come to the scene. And it's about the repercussions after that. But this book is so much more than just about that. Angie Thomas's ability to weave in all the different elements of black culture and also the black community in general was so well done. So many different aspects were tackled, family life, community life, the hard choices people make when they sell drugs, drug addiction, the difference between neighborhoods, what segregates a neighborhood and what doesn't, what keeps people in and out of neighborhoods, what people that are in a rough neighborhood might do to better the life of their children, hard choices people have to make, even dietary, music, clothes differences, dating aspects, just so many different aspects that I feel this book was so well done that I feel really bad that I didn't read it, honestly. And I feel bad that I kept seeing it over and over and was no, it's just a hyped YA book, when in reality, it is so, so good. Yep, I'm just another white booktuber saying that this book is really important. So take from that what you will, but I thought it was phenomenal, and I really, really highly recommend it. So that finishes up the reads that I have read so far in the first half of February. I thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will chat to you all later. Lots of love. See you in another video.